Control flow statements in the C language. In this presentation, we will look at the various control flow statements in C. The basic control flow statements in C are very similar to those in Java, or rather the basic statements of Java have been derived from C. We will restrict ourselves to a discussion of the C99 standard only, since this is the one that is most widely supported by compilers. C is a language that allows many shortcuts, exceptions, and deep constructs that are rarely used in constructing large programs or by beginners because of their complexity. They were likely not presented or used in the programming courses that you took to prepare for this class. These are referred to in this presentation as dirty little secrets, or DLS for short. Many of these dirty little secrets are not recommended for use as they make programs harder to understand. If statement. The if statement allows part of the program to be executed only under some conditions. This makes it the second most important statement in imperative languages. The if statement in C is written just like it is in Java and has much the same meaning. However, since C lacks a Boolean data type, the condition is an integer and the value is treated as false if the value is 0 and true for all other values. This, along with the fact that assignments are considered expressions, leads to a problem of omitting the second equals sign in the condition. In this case, an assignment is made to the variable on the left and the condition is based on the value assigned. This error is hard to detect and can only be avoided by careful examination of the condition expressions. This is not usually useful since most of the conditions in a program are created using relational operators, and so this quirk is hidden from the programmer. However, in low-level C programming, this feature is commonly used. Dirty little secret, then and else parts. In both C and Java, the if statement may be written without the braces. However, then only one statement may be in the then part and the else part. The braces are used to combine other statements to create a single statement. This statement is known as a compound statement. Many C programmers omit the braces in if statements when there is only one statement in the then or else part. This is also true of all the looping statements where the language definition says only one statement is repeated. When using this style, it is a common error to change the code later and fail to insert the braces. This is usually not a problem when dealing with the then part of the statement, since it will likely lead to a compiler error. However, if the mistake is made in the else part, then the program will likely be syntactically correct, but contain a logical error which is hard to detect, find, and correct. Dirty little secrets, compound statements. The compound statement created by the braces can be used anywhere within C code. Compound statements group a sequence of statements and allow them to be syntactically one statement. In addition, they allow you to declare new variables that are only usable within the compound statement. The idea of a compound statement is used a great deal in the specification of the C language. Dirty little secret, the dangling else. If the braces are omitted and one if statement is inside another, then a problem might occur. One of the statements may have an else part. The question then arises as to which of the if statements the else statement belongs. This problem is resolved in both Java and C by having the else part belong to the closest if statement. When the other meaning is intended, braces must be used to get the correct meaning. Correct interpretation is therefore the one on the right, highlighted in green. Dirty little secret: conditional expression. In a number of cases, an if statement simply decides the value to be used in an assignment. These cases are sufficiently common that C has a special operator that can be used in expressions to perform this function. It is known as the conditional operator. It consists of three parts: a condition, an expression for the true condition, and an expression for the false condition. The condition is followed by a query mark, and the expressions for the values are separated by a colon. This operator is an expression and can therefore be used inside more complex instructions. Indeed, that is where we most frequently find it, as it does make certain code more compact and readable. Switch statements. The switch statement in C is exactly like the one in Java, except that only variables of integer and character types may be used to switch on. The cases may appear in any order that is desired. A default case may be added. This case will deal with those situations where the value doesn't match any of the alternatives. Dirty little secret: omitting the break. As with Java, if a break statement is not used at the end of one of the cases, then the execution will fall through to the next case statement. The case statement can be seen as the label for a goto statement, which will be discussed later, and the break seen as it is in loops. The behavior of falling through to the next case is sometimes useful, but more often than not, it is the result of a programming error. In fact, we use the idea of falling through to the next case frequently, since we often place several cases one above the other, and this is exactly the same as missing out a break. We are discounting that use here, preferring to view the switch statement as simply as possible. While loop. The most used loop in C is the while loop. The structure of the statement is simple. A condition controls whether the statements inside the body of the loop are executed. Whilst the condition holds, the statements in the body of the loop are repeatedly executed. This means that some part of the condition must be changed inside the loop, or it will loop indefinitely, which may be the intention. As with if statements, the loop really executes one compound statement, so the braces can be removed in the case where only one statement is being repeated. It is important to recall that the condition in C evaluates to a countable number. If the value of this number is 0, then the condition is false. If the value is anything other than a 0, then the condition is true. Dirty little secret: the break and continue statements. Two statements can be inserted into a loop: the break statement and the continue statement. The break statement causes the execution of the loop to terminate immediately, and the next statement to be executed is the one immediately following the loop. The continue statement causes the execution to return to the start of the loop. In the case of a while loop, the condition will be re-evaluated to decide if another iteration of the loop is required. The break statement is commonly used as it can simplify loops that perform searches. The continue statement is rarer in actual code. However, neither the break nor the continue statement are necessary. They can be replaced with if statements and flag variables. Do-while loop. The do-while loop in C has exactly the same syntax and semantics as the one in Java. However, as usual in C, the condition is a compound expression and a value of 0 is considered to be false. All others are true. For loop. The syntax for and semantics of the for loop in C is exactly the same as in Java. Each of the three expressions, separated by semicolons, is a compound expression. There is no enhanced for loop in C. Dirty little secret. The for loop is a while loop. The definition of the for loop in C and Java is made by defining how it would be rewritten as a while loop. That is, a for loop is nothing more than a while loop in disguise. Dirty little secret. The goto statement. In C, but not in Java, there is a control statement that allows execution to immediately resume at a labeled place. This statement is generally regarded as being dangerous to creating readable code, and so was omitted from Java. Most of the uses of goto in C are replaced by the exception mechanism in Java. That is, goto is frequently used for error conditions. The goto statement consists of two parts. The actual goto statement, which is typically part of an if statement, and the label. Labels may be before or after a corresponding goto statement. Conclusion. The main statements in the C language are very similar to those in Java. The principal differences are C has no classes, functions are declared in much the same way as static methods in Java, C lacks a Boolean type. You are likely to have seen features that are available in Java but have not been presented to you before.